Hi, everyone. I'm Alan Rosenfield, president of Harmony Nonprofit, and welcome to our latest edition of Insights. Today, our topic of discussion is effective fundraising. And with us is John Corcoran, who is the founder and president of Merritt Walsh Associates, which provides strategic planning and executive coaching and fractional chief fundraising abilities to mission-based organizations. John, thank you for joining us. You're based in Bergen, New Jersey, just outside of New York. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yep.
So are your clients only regional, or do you work with clients all over the country?
No, we work with clients all over the country, and happy to serve them. We use a hybrid model of some video and a lot of in person as well. Yes.
Great. Well, with 25 years of experience in the fundraising area, I'm going to dive in and put you to the test here. So we're going to talk about two major areas, and we'll kind of peel it back and I'll let you go. But I want to talk about size of events and the kind of donors that smaller nonprofits should be focusing on or can focus on. And so I'm going to start with that first part. It seems like the de facto opinion is that the most effective fundraising is with mega events. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, you picked a great word, de facto, because that allows me to easily say no. Because major events are very important, but they are not the de facto, and they should never take up the amount of time and energy and money that they take up in an organization's schedule. Okay. And the reason I say that is because we have limited resources and we put so much into one event, and it's great to have people there, and you have to have these major events. People have to hear about you. They want to come because you've got a band, or you have a guest speaker, or you have an honoree, or you have a celebrity going to show up, or you have a format that they like. One organization did Dancing with the Stars. Everybody thought that was so different, and they had people compete, and then the audience got to vote. So it was very interactive, not a lot of speeches. And so you need those things, but they are not the de facto, because they suck a lot of time and money and energy out of the group. And then you don't have the time to do the real important things, which is, in my opinion, from all the years of working in fundraising, is you have to have relationships with your major donors, because they will drive the bottom line.
So if the major ones, and I can see you spend all this time, but during the event, you can't sit there and spend a lot of time talking to people. It's more of a quick hello.
Mm-hmm.
So what's a more effective way? What do you find works better
Well,
for organizations?
Well, first, let's go to we can't do the second part until you really have these mega events. But when you have the mega event, the staff should be greeting as many people. You should know who the important people are there. You need to do your homework. You need to plan and make sure that you get to say hi to them, whether they're board members, former donors, current donors, or wealthy people that come with guests, where you ask them, oh, by the way, who's coming? Just so I have a little sense, who's coming to your table, Mr. Smith? And he says, oh, well, I got Charlie, and but I got this guy. He's a big doctor. He just sold his practice for $4 million, and he owns this, and he inherited money, and well, I'd want to meet that person. So if I met that person and introduced myself and said, thanks so much, I hope you enjoy the evening. By the way, I'd love to get to know you and share maybe some of the things we're doing here. Would it be okay if I followed up with a phone call? If you do that, you get a 90% chance he's going to say yes, and then you'll get the call. If you wait to go home and then call them the next day, they'll be like, well, I wonder why this guy's calling me, because you didn't create the relationship on the spot when the emotions were flying. So the mega events are good. The alternative to that, to answer your question directly, is a mini event. Putting people together in a setting that is custom, that is well thought out, well planned, and by invite only. And the purpose is to share the vision and mission of the organization. And at that event, not to necessarily ask for money, and there's no charge for that event. Even if it tends to be an expensive event, we get sponsors for that event. But bringing people together like that to hear about it, and invited personally by someone else. You don't go out to your mailing list and invite people. This is personal, and someone usually sponsors it.
Okay. Can you give me an example of how something like that might work? I mean, if I'm starting an organization and I know John, but I don't really know what his personal passions are or what else he's doing beyond his work with us. So give me an example of how you would formulate this into something you've done before.
Yeah. So one example is using the basketball platform, and a gentleman came from Chattanooga, went up to New York, and felt called to start a nonprofit in New York on using basketball as the platform, get the kids off the street, get them tutored, get them to understand things, better lifestyle. And in doing that, he started to network with people and tell friends that he had in New York what he was doing. And he said, do you know any people that I can talk to? And he wound up meeting a Wall Street guy at a meeting. The guy just fell in love with what he was doing and said, I'll fund you. I've got plenty of money. I've got a family foundation, so it's not even my personal money. I've got money put away. I have to give it away by law. So I'd rather give it to you. Let's get into this. I love you. I like you. This is good. And so they started it out. And years later, they wanted to take it to the next level, hired me to come in and put together, an idea that I had for them in a mini event, which was to do, I said to them, well, who are your coaches? Well, I had this one coach who was a golfer. He took Saturdays off in April and May and coached, and he would remark that, they told me this, he remarked that that his buddies would make fun of him because he has the dirty dozen that play golf every Saturday morning, and he couldn't go play golf with them then, and they called him basketball boy, and they mocked at him, good fun. And so we come up with ideas. So what if you invited them all to come play golf? So I asked him, and he said, what do you mean? I said, well, what if we could go to this club? He said, that's an exclusive club. Yeah, well, we have a connection there. Would you want to come up? And he said, sure. So he brought 11 of his friends up. They got free golf for the day, a gift in the pro shop. And at the end of the day, there was just a little cocktail party. We got them all home for dinner at home. And there were only the 12 of them and 6 other people, a couple of coaches, a board chair, the founder of the organization. I was emceeing the event. And all I did was just kind of MC. I didn't even need a microphone. We were only 20 people, right? And I asked the people to give me 1 minute, because these guests were coming in. We didn't want to take up their time, but 1 minute times 4 was 4 minutes. 4 people spoke. And I turned to the coach himself, who did not want to speak. And I said, hey, by the way, do you want to say something? Well, in the heat of the moment, he said yes. He could have said, no, John, I'm fine. He said yes. And he got up, 6'4" of him. And he starts to talk about the passion and how these kids have touched his life, and that he shouldn't really be thanked about helping them. And he starts to cry, tears coming down his eyes. This big 6'4", basketball coach, and the other guys in the room are all fighting back tears, going like this and sniffing a little bit. At the end, people on their own, we didn't ask for any money. They said, hey, we love what you guys are doing. You told us about some of the projects you got coming up. We want to support you. Here's a check, $2,500, $5,000. We got one check for $10,000. And then one guy walked up and said to us, he said, I have a corporate foundation. So he says, it's not my money. Don't feel sorry for me. But he said, I like what you guys are doing. This is really powerful. You can really make a difference in the community. And I'm in the community. And he said, I'll commit to $250,000 over 5 years. Even Kevin, who brought him, the coach who brought him, didn't know he had that kind of money. It just never came up on the golf course.
Right.
So you just never know who you can meet if you have the patience and you listen. We listened about his basketball and golf analogy, and we were able to put basketball and golf together and greet these donors.
Well, and the interesting thing was you spent 4 or 5 minutes talking about this group. It was not come in and we're going to spend an hour talking. You get 30 minutes to go play golf. It was go play golf. Oh, by the way. Yep. And there was no asking for money. This was very much about getting the information out there, letting them know, not sitting there going, give me money.
Well, it was funny, since it was free, we all like something for free, but we always feel like we don't want to take it for free. Most of those people asked their buddy Kevin for the website. What's the name? Where is it? And they did a little bit of homework on their own, because they felt like, well, they better know something, like, why are we going here? What's going on with these guys? So it wasn't like they were completely taken aback when the 4 people spoke. They were just able to confirm what they might have read on the website or heard in passing, right? And so it was, everything kind of worked together. We begged people to go to our website. They don't go, and here we didn't even want these people to go to it. They went on their own. So go figure. But it's the personal contact. That was it.
That's so. Let me turn that around because this brings up an immediate question. In this case, there was a small group, but the guy who was running it, who had the passion, happened to have friends that were big in this. But if you're an organization, and there'll be people but that mega donor, the head of the local sports team, or the head of a Hollywood studio, or whatever the big industries are in the local area. Can a small group go after somebody like that?
Absolutely. This group, by the way, their budget at the time was only $600,000 a year. And they were not a multi-billion-dollar organization like the Red Cross or Harvard University or Notre Dame with their big development offices. This was just a small charity, but because he was asking for the right people to go and talk to because he needed funding, he took patients up front and went from Rotary meeting to chamber meetings, to church meetings, to community organizers in New York. And he just networked until he found a guy that liked it. He probably pitched it to 10 people, and the 11th guy said, I'll fund you. So it's just like if you want something, you have to ask. And so these smaller organizations can do really well and having somebody do it, but it's 6 degrees of separation. Ask who you know, ask what you're looking for, ask somebody who's on the board, ask somebody who's a donor, gee, we're thinking about this event and we would love to have a celebrity, come there. And a small high school in New Jersey had this happen where they were going to do a Dancing with the Stars. They were looking for a celebrity judge. And they said, boy, it would be really great. And an alumni said, well, I'm married to Barbara Corcoran from the Shark Tank. Would you want her to? People were like, Shark Tank? Oh, my God. So she came. Well, that was a big draw, but this is a small school in a small town, but she was a local girl. That's where she grew up. But everybody sees her in Hollywood. But now she came to the event because her husband was an alumni of this small school that they came to. So it's so important to do that. And getting advice from people who have done this before to lead you there, because they have the script, the template, and the experience to get you there. Like I do a lot of social media. I didn't invent it on myself. I hire people that can help me be a superstar at social media because I don't know social media.
And that's a very good point. Part of it is finding the people who can help execute, especially for a smaller organization where they don't have huge staffs. So
Exactly.
Let's turn this around a little bit. What are the biggest pitfalls to fundraising? What are the biggest mistakes that organizations make?
Not having a planning process habit, in quotes. And the reason why I said is plans are good, plans are bad, and plans fail. But the planning process is invaluable. If you don't have a process that says, before the gala, we're going to find out everybody at every table. And all the paupers, we're going to say nice things and we're going to do it, but we're going to spend time with the people who can help us in our mission. And plus those people like to be paid attention to. So planning an event, a mini event, what mini event makes sense. We had a board member, one of my clients had a board member who was a foodie. He knew every master chef in New York. So we did a chef's table series, 3 series, 1, 2, 3. And that one we did charge for. We changed it up a little bit there. And since it was limited, it was so much demand, we decided to do 3 restaurants, and it was $1,000 for each one. But if you bought all 3, $2,500. Every couple bought all 3, 10 couples, and they all came and they were able to meet the chef, have a private dinner by the kitchen.
I want to get invited to that next one. Okay,
you do.
I'll fly to New York for that.
Yeah, and it was just a wonderful event. And then we got sponsors. We got our accountant and lawyer, and our the person like your person who you are. We had a person like Alan, and he agreed to do it, and they came. And we said, we just want you to be there. We sponsor it. No table, no business cards to ask for business or anything. All of them got business. You know why? Because we created such a great opportunity for people to just talk that they were asking and getting free advice from the lawyers, the accountants, and the wealth managers who were managing the funds. All of them said, well, my guy's not doing that. My guy's not. And they all learned something, and they created a relationship with the sponsors, and everybody came out happy. And so something like that, we were able to raise a lot of money from that. And now we had a whole new group of people that came to meet the chefs.
So it sounds like, to summarize this, whether you're doing a mega event or a mini event, and you should be doing both, planning's the absolute critical key. Planning on who you're going to talk to, what you're going to talk to them about, when are you going to talk to them, following up with them. recognizing what their passions are. So where there's some common link there, and that if not doing this are the biggest mistakes. Any last thoughts or comments that we haven't talked about that we should?
Yeah, just one tip on the major gifts that I just came to me now as you asked that question. When think about hiring an event planner to do the event and building the cost of the event planner into the expenses of the event. And if you interview enough event planners and you take time and patience and planning, one will jump out and show you things that they would do that you would never have thought of, and they'll pay for themselves. Here's the biggest problem. The development staff, even as small as they are, even if they were just 2 people, they're all doing the event. They get excited. It is exciting, but you're worrying about tables and linens and deliveries and food and the band and the tickets and the invites and the printer. I mean, it's a lot of work, and it's sometimes easier. And so you're not cultivating anyone during the season of that event. No cultivation's going on. No lunch with someone to share what you're doing and have them say, oh, I've got a buddy who needs to hear about this. None of that goes on while the staff is doing it. I see that more often than not, unfortunately. So if any of you listening today hire an event planner and use their specialty, I can promise you could be one of these talks to tell them how much money you raised extra because they're good at what they do and you didn't have to worry about it. You could continue to do your work at cultivation so that the mini events could take place down the road. The one-on-ones could take place down the road. So that would kind of be my my advice to everybody today. And I really want to thank you for having me here, Alan.
Thank you, John. This has been terrific. Want to thank everybody for listening. If you have questions or comments, you can email us or call us, and we're going to be putting up John's information as well. So if you have questions for him, you can reach out to him directly. Thanks very much for listening.